Israel, the center of both biblical history and Bible prophecy in the last days. Today, discover what this means for the church and for Christians who want to be at the center of what God is doing on the earth. Straight ahead on Jewish Voice.
Shalom and welcome to Jewish Voice. We proclaim Jesus as Messiah to the world and also help you to understand the Jewish roots of your Christian faith and world events surrounding Israel. Well, throughout the Bible, God has made numerous covenants, first with Adam and Eve, then with Noah, and then with a man named Abram. From Abram, whose name was later changed to Avraham, God raised up a unique people, known today as the Jewish people. The covenants that followed, specifically the Mosaic covenant and then the new covenant, were given to and through the Jewish people. I'm often asked by Christians, what does this mean for us as followers of Jesus? And how does Israel fit into all of this? Well, joining me today is an author who is here to help us answer those questions and others. Please welcome Jacob Fronczak. Jacob, welcome. Nice to have you on Jewish Voice. Thanks. Make yourself at home.
Thank you.
So great to have you on. You know, I like having younger people on, which is getting easier, by the way, for me, finding younger people. But we're living in a period, Jacob, where in an era where younger Christians are not embracing Israel, do not understand that Israel and the Jewish people are an important part of their faith in Jesus. You have that understanding. How did Israel become important to you?
Yeah, you know, and you're right. A lot of people in my generation are moving toward a different understanding. I was raised as a dispensationalist.
Explain that. I'm not sure everybody understands what that means.
Yeah, so dispensationalists believe that throughout history, God has expected different things from different people. So at one point in time, God had a certain expectation of a certain people, and at a different point in time, it was different people and a different set of expectations. And the classic divide in dispensationalism is before Jesus came, the Jewish people were at the center of God's plan. And they were his people, and he expected them to obey the Torah, the Old Testament law.
The dispensation of the law.
The dispensation of law, right. Yeah. And then after Jesus ascended into heaven, or maybe after Pentecost, depends who you ask, now we're in the dispensation of grace, and God's people are the church. But a dispensationalist will say that in the future, there'll be another dispensation where the Jewish people will again be at the center of God's plan. So I was raised with that understanding, with sort of a past Israel and future Israel being at the center of God's plan.
Which in one way is very good. We have a lot of dispensationalists who watch the program that believe that Israel has a future role, and so they're supportive of Israel now. But some, not all, but some, because they relegate Israel to a future time, don't pay a lot of attention to the Jewish people. Maybe to Israel and what it represents, but not to the Jewish people here and now. So keep going. That's how you were raised.
Sure, yeah, and so because I had that upbringing, I sort of still carry that baggage with me today. Like, I still believe Israel has a past and future significance, and for me that was a great foundation from which to explore more of the significance of the people of Israel and of the Old Testament. What's happening to a lot of people in my generation is that there's a growing segment of Christianity that doesn't see that significance. You know, dispensationalism became very popular, and there's a lot of dispensationalist teachers on Christian television that became very popular. But there's this other group, this other segment of teachers that's becoming more popular among younger people.
Why is it people your age, young 30s, going down into the 20s and so on, have actually embraced an anti-Israel viewpoint?
You know, I don't have all the answers. I think that a big part of it is my generation, all of us want to be fighting for a cause, and all of us want to find someone who's oppressed and help them. And that's a beautiful sentiment, but I think what we've forgotten is the oppression of the Jewish people throughout the ages. And all the younger people can see now, because that's what's on the news and that's what's in the media, is the Palestinian crisis. And to them, the real crisis and the real oppression is happening to the Palestinians. And they see, the nation of Israel, the state of Israel, as being the oppressors.
Do you think young Christians, not just young Christians, but the church in general, is buying into a spin that actually is lying about the history and the right of the Jewish people to the land?
I think that there are forces at work that would just love for people to forget about the Holocaust, forget about the Jews being forced out of country after country, to forget the need for the Jewish people to have a safe place, to have a homeland, and to be in their national homeland.
Very, very important question. How do we bring our young people back to a solid biblical worldview of our own faith being connected to our Jewish roots?
We're so educated, and we want a system, like a theological system, that makes sense and that's really coherent, and we want to see it resonate with biblical themes. We want to see, we don't want a verse here and a verse there, but we want something that makes sense of the whole. And there are theologies that make sense of the whole by just totally spiritualizing the Old Testament and downplaying the role of the physical people of Israel, the Jewish people. And they tie everything up in a bow, and it all looks really good, and it's a really good philosophy, and a lot of younger people are buying into that. But I think what we need to do, and what I've tried to do in Israel Matters, is to lay out, well, here's another way that everything can work together. But instead of downplaying the role of the people of Israel, we actually lift them up. And we put them at the center of what God is doing in salvation history.
Yeah, it's not America. That shocks people when I say that. America is not the center of biblical history, and America is not the center of end time events. It's Israel and the land surrounding Israel. When you look at the church, what view are Christians buying into when it comes to understanding Israel overall?
Sure. Well, there's still a lot of dispensationalists. There's still a lot of people that believe that Israel has a future and a past relevance or calling. And I think most of them would say that the Jewish people are the people of God today, although whether or not they have a relationship with God or what that looks like, I think that's a question that's up for grabs for a lot of dispensationalists. You go to the Reformed Church, and the Reformed churches, they teach that in the Old Testament, when God made promises and he made covenants and he extended grace to a group of people, he was really extending that grace to a group called the elect. And the elect are not the children of Israel or the nation of Israel as a whole, but an invisible group within Israel.
We've got to take a quick break. When we come back, much more with Jacob Fronczak, and later, a young lady, 9 years old, you heard correctly, 9 years old, who founded a ministry to help children in dire need. You heard correctly, she's only 9. Don't go away.
Make a memory of a lifetime by recommitting your love and renewing your vows on the Jewish Voice 2016 Passover on the Seas Caribbean Cruise. Join Rabbi Jonathan Bernis and his family April 16th through April 23rd and enjoy the beautiful white sand beaches and tranquil turquoise waters of St. Martin, St. Thomas, and Nassau, Bahamas on one of the world's newest and largest luxury cruise liners. It's the perfect place to not only celebrate the miracle of Passover, but to rededicate your marriage to each other and to God. The rededication of marriage vows will be officiated by Rabbi Jonathan Bernis under a traditional Jewish chuppah, the marriage canopy. You will also receive a beautiful certificate validating your continued commitment to each other, and the event will continue with a festive reception and formal dinner. Don't miss out on the perfect opportunity to share something meaningful with your loved one. Call 1-888-435-3787 or go to jewishvoice.org/Passover and renew your vows on the 2016 Passover on the Seas Caribbean Cruise.
If you just joined us, I'm continuing my conversation with Jacob Fronczak, who's written a new book called Israel Matters, putting the Jewish people back at the center of God's plan. I want to come to the book in just a minute, Jacob, but we left off at a very important point.
Yeah.
You were telling us about something called Reformed Theology, and then I want you to explain something called replacement theology. I don't know if a lot of people watching understand what replacement theology is, but it's very dangerous. So, Reformed theology, and I was saying also dispensational theology has really preserved American support for Israel to a large degree in America. So, very, very important understanding of Israel's future place. So, but Reformed theology is what?
Well, Reformed theology, it predates dispensational theology. It dates back to the Reformation. And Reformed theology sees, when they look at the Old Testament and they see anything good that God says to the Jewish people, like, for example, the new covenant of Jeremiah 31 or the promises, Ezekiel 36 of a new heart. A Reformed theologian will see those passages as really being addressed to a group called the elect. And the elect is a group of people that is invisible, but is among the Jewish people. Now, today, a Reformed theologian would see the elect as being an invisible group within the Christian church. So the elect has just been this thing all the way through. It's never really particularly zoomed in on or focused on by the authors of the Bible.
So bottom line, if you will, it's a spiritualization. The elect become a people that will exist, but not specific. Israel is not necessarily Israel.
Right, it's the invisible church is the term that they would use, and it's the invisible church today, and it was the invisible church in the Old Testament time period.
What's dangerous about that?
Well, I think the one dangerous thing about it is if you confront a Reformed theologian about replacement theology, they'll say, well, no, we don't believe that the church replaced Israel. We don't believe that the Jewish people were somehow God's people and then not God's people anymore. What they'll say is that the Jewish people were never God's people to begin with. The nation of Israel never had a relationship with God characterized by the grace that God extended to the covenant with Abraham.
Very dangerous. Replacement theology.
So replacement theology is a little different. Replacement theology is much older. And it's the idea that the Jewish people used to be the people of God, and he was carrying on this relationship with them. But when Jesus came and they didn't corporately enthrone him as their Messiah, they didn't accept him for who he claimed to be, God put them aside forever, and his new people is now the church. The church came in and replaced Israel as the people that lived out God's calling on the earth. And it dates very, very early in the church. You go back to the early church fathers like Justin Martyr and Irenaeus and Ignatius, and what they were saying and what they believed was that the Jewish people had failed and that God has left them on the earth to be a witness of what his curse looks like. So they're a uniquely cursed people, and that God, they're just going to be a witness to that forever.
So why not embrace Hitler? And as a continuation, if they're cursed, let it happen.
Yeah, I mean that's a scary thought.
Hey, we just have a minute or so left. You wrote a great book, Israel Matters, putting the Jewish people back at the center of God's plan. Why did you write this?
I wrote this book because I believe that if Christianity, if the church can put Israel back at the center of God's plan, not only will our theology be better, not only will we have a more accurate reading of the Bible, but our witness to the Jewish people, when we hold up Jesus as the Messiah, instead of saying, come accept Jesus and leave Jewishness and Judaism behind, we can say, come embrace your rabbi, come embrace the one who will encourage you to complete and fulfill and continue to live and identify as a Jewish person.
We need you back tomorrow. We'll pick up on this more tomorrow. We need more young leaders like you. Jacob Fronczak's new book, Israel Matters, explains why Israel and the Jewish people are to be at the center of God's plan, and how you as a Christian are grafted into all of the promises, and as a result, you play a key role in God's end time plan. Jacob will be back again tomorrow, so be sure to join us. Up next, the extraordinary 9-year-old who started her own ministry to help children in need living in developing nations.
Here at Jewish Voice, we are dedicated to proclaiming Jesus, the Messiah, to the world, to the Jew first, and also to the nations. One key way we do this is by providing life-saving humanitarian aid to some of the poorest people in the world. In helping them, we share God's love and the good news of Yeshua, Jesus. Today, we are urgently preparing for our next medical clinic to bless a remote Lost Tribes community in Barangwa, Zimbabwe. The Lemba, This faithful yet forgotten people have ties to the ancient people of Israel, the priestly tribe of Aaron, and have been practicing ancient Jewish customs for hundreds of years. We need your help to make this vital life-saving outreach possible. Will you be a blessing to these wonderful people and the thousands of others in desperate need? The elderly, children, infants, and toddlers could die for lack of basic medical care. Call or click right now to help us save lives. And with your gift of any amount, we'll say thank you by sending you a new book by Pastor Jacob Fronczak, Israel Matters. This insightful resource clearly explains why Israel and the Jewish people are at the center of God's plan, and how the church is called to redefine itself in light of that. For Christians, this can sometimes be a confusing message, but this book breaks it down, explaining how Christians can also be grafted into God's promises and covenants. Along with it, we also want you to have this beautiful Aaron's Blessing keychain. It's a replica of the oldest known copy of biblical text, the Aaronic Blessing. It's perfect for carrying your house or car keys. And the words of the Aaronic Blessing, "The Lord cause His face to shine upon you," will be a constant reminder of God's love for you. If God has blessed you with the means to share a gift of $100 or more today, to bless some of the neediest people on earth, we'll send you all of the gifts just mentioned, and these two beautiful plaques, which come together as one to create a stone gate. One plaque reads, "I will bless those who bless you," and the other reads, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem." They make a lovely addition to your home or office and serve as a wonderful reminder to pray for Israel and the Jewish people. Along with the plaques, we'd also like you to have a CD teaching by Rabbi Jonathan Bernis, "The Dangerous Lie of Replacement Theology." In it, Jonathan Bernis answers such questions as, what is replacement theology? Why is it so dangerous? And what can we do to counter it? It's an incredibly important resource that will prepare you for talking to those who believe in this lie. Please remember, God has promised to bless those who bless the Jewish people. To share a gift in support of this humanitarian aid and to help countless others around the globe, please call or click now. Once again, time is of the essence for many of these people. Please call or click right now.
My next guest is an extraordinary young woman. When she was just 7 years old, God gave her a vision to create an organization that would help children in need all around the world, especially Jews in Ethiopia. Take a look.
These are the jugs that I created, and painted, and decorated. So now it's time for you to collect money for your jug. So have your creative mind and do whatever you want with the jugs as long as you have the logo on them. Snickers, what do you think of the jug? I like the jug. They are very pretty. I hope you return. So thank you for watching and just collect money.
Please welcome the 9-year-old founder of Children for Children Ministries, Gavriela Daniels, and her mother, Stacy Daniels. Hey, welcome! Stacy, Gavriela, you are the youngest guest that we have ever had on this program, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, this all got started when you were just 7 years old, is that right?
Yes.
7 years old. And you wanted to give your piggy bank to kids in need in Africa, is that right?
Yes.
What inspired you to just give all that money to kids in need?
God. I'm homeschooled. And we were studying Africa, and we so happened to land on Ethiopia. And so we got this book, Children Just Like Me, and so...
It's a UNICEF book, yeah.
Yeah. So...
And you read the book?
Yes, we read the book and we looked up Ethiopian Jews, and I just stared at them for seconds, just like looking at them. Why don't they have anything? Why don't they have any shoes? I mean, I just looked at myself and then looked at them like I have clothes, I have shoes on my feet, and they don't have anything.
God gave you a vision, I remember you telling me. What was that like? What happened?
So then after that, we looked at a video of them, and then after that, I asked my mom, can we go downstairs and pray?
So I went downstairs and prayed, and I sat in my purple beanbag. And after we prayed, I felt the Holy Spirit come to me and tell me, you need to create Children for Children.
Wow. Stacy, what was going on with you during this time? Did you see the Lord stirring her heart?
Yes. It was absolutely amazing because it was as she said, it was instantaneously where the Holy Spirit just spoke to her and said that it was her tugging, it was her heart. She just was very much led by the Lord to want to create change, to create and change the children's lives.
That's an amazing thing for a 7-year-old to be moved like that by the Lord. So it began with your piggy bank, but then you actually started fundraising. You're a little fundraiser,
Yep.
a 9-year-old fundraiser.
Yep.
How did that all start?
I created a jug.
We have
This
one here.
Children for Children jug. I wrapped it with duct tape.
It was different than this, though, right? This is kind of the new
Yeah,
and
this is the
improved
new
version.
and improved
We
version.
worked on that together.
Yes.
But that's not how it started.
No.
Okay, so you gave away your piggy bank. God moved on your heart. You had this vision.
Yep.
And how did you begin fundraising in the beginning?
I called my rabbi, Rabbi Steve, and I asked him, could I speak at our congregation on Friday night? And he said, sure, why? And I said, God has given me an amazing vision to help Ethiopian Jews.
And he let you speak.
He let me speak, and I raised about $300 to $400 that night.
And then you started, we have this ministry, you have this ministry now, Children for Children. And we have this
Yep.
beautiful collection jug. And they can actually get this going right to the website.
childrenforchildrenministries.org.
And they print it out and put it
They
right
print
on
it
this
out.
jug like you've
Yep.
done. Wow. Gavriela, there's a lot of parents, like your mom and your dad is here in the audience. And I'm a parent, and there's a lot of parents watching with kids your age. What would you say to them? Their kids can serve the Lord.
Yep.
Their kids can raise money, right? Their kids can help people in need.
They can, this is what I've heard for many years. You can do whatever you want to do by God.
Well, we are very, very proud of you. And we're very proud of you, Mom, and your family.
Thank you.
And you keep up the good work. $10,000 so far.
Yes.
And you're going to raise a whole lot more, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And it does.
we have a couple of things for him, don't you?
Yes.
Have a couple of things? Just let him you go ahead and tell him.
We have a special surprise for you. You can go ahead and open.
Should I open it right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I love presents. This is great. Okay, here we go.
Tell him it's the first.
Okay.
It's the first
Oh, yeah.
and only Children for Children t-shirt.
And it's double X. This will fit me just great. Look at that. Children for Children. When the juice lady comes soon, she
And it
will
has
have
the
to.
slogan on
This
the
will be
front.
big.
And it
Yeah.
has
Okay,
the
let's look
logo
at
And
on
the
the
back
back.
has the logo on the back
And
and
this
the website.
is one of the first, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
We have another surprise for you. We have a check.
Oh, I love surprises.
I decorated it.
Oh,
That
my.
is- we would like to start as our partnering with you, and Gavriela's would like to just give you that as our first donation to start with the partnering with Jewish Voice and moving on from here.
To Uncle
That's her.
JB. Well, thank you so much. Great job, you guys. Keep up the good work, Gavriela. Children for Children, started by a 7-year-old who's now 9, is making an impact on so many lives, but there's still so much more to be done. If you'd like to learn how you can help, please go to our website, jewishvoice.tv. We'll be right back.
Here at Jewish Voice, we are dedicated to proclaiming Jesus, the Messiah, to the world, to the Jew first, and also to the nations. One key way we do this is by providing life-saving humanitarian aid to some of the poorest people in the world. In helping them, we share God's love and the good news of Yeshua, Jesus. Today, we are urgently preparing for our next medical clinic to bless a remote Lost Tribes community in Barangwa, Zimbabwe. The Lemba. This faithful yet forgotten people have ties to the ancient people of Israel, the priestly tribe of Aaron, and have been practicing ancient Jewish customs for hundreds of years. We need your help to make this vital life-saving outreach possible. Will you be a blessing to these wonderful people and the thousands of others in desperate need? The elderly, children, infants, and toddlers could die for lack of basic medical care. Call or click right now to help us save lives. And with your gift of any amount, we'll say thank you by sending you a new book by Pastor Jacob Fronczak, Israel Matters. This insightful resource clearly explains why Israel and the Jewish people are at the center of God's plan, and how the church is called to redefine itself in light of that. For Christians, this can sometimes be a confusing message, but this book breaks it down, explaining how Christians can also be grafted into God's promises and covenants. Along with it, we also want you to have this beautiful Aaron's Blessing keychain. It's a replica of the oldest known copy of biblical text, the Aaronic Blessing. It's perfect for carrying your house or car keys. And the words of the Aaronic Blessing, "The Lord cause His face to shine upon you," will be a constant reminder of God's love for you. If God has blessed you with the means to share a gift of $100 or more today, to bless some of the neediest people on earth, we'll send you all of the gifts just mentioned, and these two beautiful plaques, which come together as one to create a stone gate. One plaque reads, "I will bless those who bless you," and the other reads, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem." They make a lovely addition to your home or office and serve as a wonderful reminder to pray for Israel and the Jewish people. Along with the plaques, we'd also like you to have a CD teaching by Rabbi Jonathan Bernis, "The Dangerous Lie of Replacement Theology." In it, Jonathan Bernis answers such questions as, what is replacement theology? Why is it so dangerous? And what can we do to counter it? It's an incredibly important resource that will prepare you for talking to those who believe in this lie. Please remember, God has promised to bless those who bless the Jewish people. To share a gift in support of this humanitarian aid and to help countless others around the globe, please call or click now. Once again, time is of the essence for many of these people. Please call or click right now.
Thanks so much for watching today, and thank you to Gavriela Daniels and Jacob Fronczak. They're both here all week, so we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. As we close out the program today, I want to remind you, as I do in every broadcast, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Psalm 122:6 says, "May they who love you prosper." So if you want to prosper, pray for Israel. They need our prayers. Until next time, I'm Jonathan Bernis saying shalom and God bless you.
Since 1967, Jewish Voice has provided humanitarian aid around the world while proclaiming the good news that Yeshua, Jesus, is Messiah and Savior to the Jew first and also to the nations. Jewish Voice has demonstrated God's love by providing medical care, eye care, and dental care, all free of charge, to some of the most impoverished people in the world. Your faithful support makes all of this possible. So please partner with us. Your generous gift helps transform lives by sharing God's love with those who desperately need it. Just call, click, or write. Thank you, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee.